Good afternoon. Welcome in. Indy Sports Nation, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Blue Friday. It's another great, beautiful fall Friday. The great state of Indiana and the great city of, which normally would say Indianapolis, but in case if you've been with me for this ride, this past few episodes, you'll be like, well, Big Mike, what's up with the background? This isn't your normal dig. It's not. So fourth episode, and we're already taking the show on the road, man. Yes. Hey, man, I said it every little bit better each week, right? A little bit better each week. So I'm coming to you today live from West Lafayette, Indiana. Just about 3 hours before kickoff between the Purdue Boilermakers and the Oregon Ducks. And immediately you might be thinking, well, did you want to go see a massacre on purpose? Fair question. It's a fair question. You know what? As I've said on this show a few times, I do have a kid up here attending Purdue. So never a bad day. We can go hang out with your kid and watch some Division I college football. So got to take advantage of that. So anyway, I hope hope your week has been as good as mine. It's been a very good week here. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. There's just a lot. I mean, this time of year, right? It's just a lot to get into. So today we got to talk some Colts, as we always do. Got to discuss that win in Tennessee over the week. This past Sunday was not pretty. None of the Colts wins have been, to be completely honest. But we'll get into that. Preview a little bit of they welcome the Dolphins into Lucas Oil this weekend. It'll be nice to be back at Lucas Oil. The Colts been on the road the past few weeks, so looking forward to being back in Lucas Oil. So we'll talk about like I said, we'll talk about last week, preview this week's game. Then obviously, we're going to dive right into some college football, right? So big weekend in college football. When isn't it a big weekend in college football? IU hosting the biggest game they've hosted since who knows when. We've all lost count. Probably feels like the Clinton administration or something like that. But we'll obviously preview IU versus Nebraska. Talk a little Notre Dame. Nice convincing win over the weekend, which was needed for them. They did what they needed to do. Talk about this weekend's game. There's some news that's broke today, actually, about that game. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll wrap it up today. We're going to go kind of heavy Purdue today, and I can already hear the IU fans groaning over that. But don't worry, IU fans, you're going to get your time. I promise you. But being up here, we're live. I can't quite see Ross A. Stadium, but it's just a couple miles kind of this way, if you will. But we'll talk women's volleyball, of course. What a week they've had. So we'll recap that week, or this past week, I should say. We'll talk a little bit about Purdue's football. What could have been, I should say, from Saturday. Talk a little bit about tonight's game and my theory as to how potentially this game could be closer than the experts think. Or it could be 56-0 after quarter one. But hey, got to try to give a little bit of hope here, man. Try to give a little bit of optimism. But the other reason it's going to be kind of Purdue heavy is, as I mentioned last week, we're going to start talking, previewing some hoops. It's upon us, so we're going to start talking some hoops and figure this is why not. This is a great time to talk about Purdue basketball. So we'll talk a little bit of the women's and along with the men's. Kind of see what some expectations are and kind of, just get some feels out there. And I hope you are able to interact, jump in and get on the old chats and whatnot. And I'm always interested to hear your feedback on all of it. So we'll talk Purdue hoops. And so, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So we're just going to kind of get into it here. We're going to do our what we always do. You got to give us the old IE Sports Radio. And again, I got to thank all the great folks at IE Sports Radio for the platform to get to do this with you every Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Follow us on X, Twitter, whatever you're still calling it, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at IE Sports Radio. Get us on, of course, get us on YouTube, as we mentioned there, but podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Speaker, Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, everywhere. We are everywhere, as I say every week, and I'm going to continue to say it every week because it's the truth. Come give us a visit, iesportsradio.com. Check out all the great hosts that we have from sea to shining sea. And while you're there, let's go shopping, right? Go hit the Sports Radio shop, right? It's again, I'm gonna be just like a dead horse, man. It's get some swag. It's Christmas time. It's not Christmas time, but it's Halloween, obviously. For those of you who love Halloween, and I do too, by the way. But you all see the Christmas stuff up. It's gonna be here before we know it. So take the shop, tickle around, get some stocking stuffers for some people, for your loved ones, what have you. If you'd be so nice, give me a follow here, or give us a follow, I should say, at the old X Twitter machine, if you will, at Indy Sports _IESR, at Indy Sports _IESR. And if you'd be so kind, you could also give me the old follow as my own personal account at the Chill Mike, because you all know me, I am so chill. That was terrible. I'm sorry. But hey, like I said, we have a lot to dive into today, so we're going to go ahead and get into the paying some bills, because that's why we get to do this, right? Well, why we all get to talk and interact over things that we love, which is this crazy fun world of sports. So with that being said, let's give our Planet Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals some love. We'll do that, and then we'll dive into the Colts on the other side. Welcome in again, Indy Sports Nation, on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at SealTheDeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Welcome back. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Indy Sports Nation, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of the sports, coming to you live like I do every Friday. But today at West Lafayette, Indiana, just off campus of Purdue University. Ready to go see the big game tonight, and let's hope it's competitive. But we'll get to that later on. So let's dive in. We're going to talk some Colts, right? It was a much needed divisional road win, right? And you hear it, and sometimes some think it's cliche. I don't necessarily feel that way, but anytime you can get a division road win, especially when you're a team like the Colts is still kind of trying to find their footing a little bit, you had to take it. And I said last week, it was kind of a must win because you did not want to be 0-3 in the division. So they got the win, and it was pretty ugly, like they all have been. Just kind of recap. For those of you who didn't see the game, Colts' first possession was a solid first possession. Mind you, and before I get into it, Anthony Richardson was believed to have been playing last week, and then right at the 11th hour, he all of a sudden became the number 3 quarterback. So his hip oblique injury was still not quite where they wanted it to be, and I think there was just some things that needed to get done, or I should say needed to get done, but needed to feel the right way for him to be fully effective. It's kind of my thought. I had a bad feeling when I saw Flacco being the first guy warming up out there. I was like, well, I'm guessing they're going to set AR another game, and they did. And that's fine. We'll may touch on more of that here in a bit, but I digress. So we get into the game, and a good first drive for the Colts. Receiving the ball to start the game, go down and score. That's what you want when you're on the road, right? Go down and get 7 points. And they did that. And then defensively got to stop. And we all know the struggles of this defense. It's still there. And now you can say what you want about the Titans offense, and it's mostly fair. Although Tony Pollard ran the ball very well. Again, we can't stop the run. But so we get off the field, and a few positive offensive plays. And so at that point, as a Colts fan, you're thinking, all right, just go down and get another touchdown. Titans are not going to be able to score a ton of points on you just because, they're kind of one-dimensional. And so what happens? Naturally, Flacco throws an interception, and I'm not even sure what he saw there. Thing went high. I saw Pittman there, and I'll touch on Pittman here in a minute too. He wasn't supposed to play, but he did. So interception, good return, 2 plays, Pollard with a run, and then a pass where our secondary didn't know what was going on. So just like that, but could have been 14-0 to 7-7, which kind of woke up the Titans D a little bit. And that's probably one of their strengths, right? They got some decent defensive players and whatnot. And just the rest of that game was just kind of a struggle. And it was just ugly football. Again, we get to a point where there's a 3rd and 19. 3rd and 19. And Tennessee runs a draw play with Tony Pollard and get a touchdown. And I think I would put something out on the old X Twitter that's unacceptable. You can't let that happen. You can't let it happen. But to Flacco's credit and the rest of the offense, they come down to get a nice drive, and Pittman with a big boy catch to get that game-winning touchdown. And again, speaking of Pittman, if you recall, they were talking last week, and this was being reported by Adam Schefter at ESPN, that IR was a legit possibility. And so we're all here in Colts Nation, we're just our heads in our hands, like what's going on? This is what. Here we go again. I mean, the injury report is already longer than a thesis statement, or I should say a statement. I should say a thesis that you write back in your college days. But to his credit, he toughed it out, and played, and made that big boy catch. I saw Flacco on his back foot throw it up in the air, and I'm just, the camera angle at the time, we didn't see downfield. And I'm going, oh boy, here it is, Flacco off his back foot, because we've seen the bad of Flacco over his career. We've seen the good too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to trash the guy, but we've seen some sketchy quarterback play from this guy, and yeah. So I was kind of where I was fearful of it. Pittman got bad back and all, jumped up, got it, secured it, touchdown, and then that punt at the very end of the game with Rigoberto, that was maybe the most beautiful punt I've ever seen. Just hits it, and everybody's thinking it's a roll in the end zone, and it just dies right there at the 3-yard line. 12 seconds ago, Tennessee has no options left, and Colts get the win. So, Flacco with an okay day, 22 of 38, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that one pretty bad TD or a TD interception rather that led to a TD. So as you can imagine, here in the city, or all around Central Indiana for that matter, and even the national media is getting into this now, where, well, you guys have a better chance to win with Flacco. And again, I think we've touched on this on every episode. I can't believe people are still saying this. People are still going, you guys should just play Flacco. I don't understand that. I would understand it if this team was Super Bowl ready now. Right? If they were ready now, like every other position solidified, you've got a Super Bowl contending team now, then I could understand that. Okay, you know what? Go with the veteran. He's got some experience. He's won a Super Bowl. People forget about that. I get it, but this team is not anywhere near that. So, so it was announced this week, and of course confirmed today, that Anthony Richardson will be the starting quarterback this Sunday. The Dolphins come into town, and that's the right call. Even if you look back in the handful of games he has played, the rushing attack actually improves. And not that the rushing was terrible last weekend, but really outside of that 33-yard run that Goodson had, it really wasn't all that great. So I hope, from the running back perspective, we see more of Tyler Goodson. Jonathan Taylor is out again, so it kind of will pull your hair out a little bit here as a Colts fan, don't you? At times, because here you are when JT gets hurt, and it's mild ankle sprain, and they went to say mild high ankle sprain, and I'm kind of laughing about that because as an athlete back in my day, I've had numerous high ankle sprains to the point where I just gave up playing because it was, it wasn't worth it. Wasn't going to be that great anyway, but I was like, I've never heard of a mild high ankle sprain. So, yeah, he's out for the third week. My vibe or my feeling on that is he's probably, if he had to go, he probably would. If this was a do or die game at the end of the season, he'd probably try to give it a go. I have no issue with it. I would rather him come back, be fully healthy, and get ready for the gauntlet of the schedule coming up. So, just some funky way the Indianapolis Colts handle their injuries. I don't know. It's kind of strange to me, but it is what it is. We're used to it as Colts fans. So that leads me into this weekend's game with the Dolphins, and this is an interesting matchup to me. And I've noted on here it's a must-win game, and I do think it is a must-win game. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. Colts go into a gauntlet the next 5 weeks. So after this game against Miami, they're 2 weeks on the road, and they go down to Houston for a big division game. They'll be without Nico Collins, which helps. The Colts need all the help they can get at this point defensively, so that's a plus. But Houston's very, very good. After that, you're going to Minnesota, who's surprising everybody this year and how good they are. You come back home for Buffalo. I do think they could actually sneak that one out, but we'll get that down the road. But going and then back on the road again, they're going to off my memory here, but Jets is one of them, and I'll think of the other one here in a second. But it's a gauntlet of a stretch there. So to me, in order for them to have a shot at a wild card, which again was kind of my thing, right? At the beginning of the season, I'm like, I want to see them, wild card. So Yeah. So here's the deal coming up to this game here. Miami's been struggling. We've seen this. Tyler Huntley's not been setting the world on fire by any stretch of the imagination. Not been able to get the ball to his playmakers. They've got their skill players are fantastic. They've got the guys. They got the dudes. But a couple weeks, working within the system now, and with the way the Colts defense has made backup quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers in the past, I'm not. I'm more of a cautiously optimistic fan right now. I know Miami's got some injuries on the defensive side of the ball, especially up front. I mean, they still have Ramsey back, in the back, but I feel like the Colts is a game they can and should win. They need to win at home. It's kind of a pick 'em. I know I saw a matchup predictor had a 70% chance. I think that's a little high. I'm thinking more along the lines 55, 60-ish. But this is one they got to get. And I think, keys to it outside of turnovers, keep giving the ball to Josh Downs. He has, wide receiver coach Reggie Wayne has been flying his flag for a while, and I think we all now see why that's been the case. He's become the most targeted receiver, and I think that needs to continue. I know him and AR have got a pretty good rapport, so I expect to see that continue. I expect that with AR back in the lineup, that the running game will improve a little bit, and I do think there's going to be some options for Alec Pierce. Ramsey can cover everybody. Defensively, again, we just gotta, they just gotta take care of business. I mean, Jalen Jones is going to have some work to do potentially, but he's doing a lot of growing up this year. I've said a lot of good things about him so far, and I will continue to do so. But I think what's more important is that these past few games, the Colts have had not a good pass rush going. And I think with the last two games, they don't have a sack. And what the quote unquote quarterback hurries, if you will, or I think less than 5 or something, it's not good. So they got to get some pressure. I think in this case, in order to win, to disrupt that rhythm. If you allow Huntley get any kind of rhythm and he starts to get confident and finding his receivers, that could change things. So I'm optimistic that won't happen, but you can't take these games lightly, man. You just can't. As I've mentioned before, the Colts are not a team that's going to blow people out more time, typically. So, we'll see. I think it's great to have AR back. You got to play him. He's got to get the repetitions. He's got to be on the field. You cannot, build him and grow him and work with him not being on the field. That's what takes me back to the people saying play Flacco. That's craziness to me. The more he gets out there, the more he gets in games, the more comfortable he's going to get. He's going to learn a lot on the go, and that's it. I mean, if you don't do that, you're just doing what the Colts have been doing for the past 5, 6, 7, whatever years it's been now. It feels like it's been forever, where you're just putting the Band-Aid on the quarterback position every year. Oh, let's draw another old guy. Colts picked Anthony Richardson number 4 because they, quite frankly, did they really have a choice? They had to have a quarterback. They had to have a franchise quarterback. So, anyway, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Hopefully we'll appreciate the comments coming in. Appreciate the few texts I've been getting on this. It's good. It's good banter. Appreciate you, the ones who are interacting and tuning in. Like I always say, give me your opinions, man. I love to hear them. So, on that note, we're going to take another break, and then on the other side, we're going to get into some Notre Dame and get to the big game in Bloomington. We're going to talk about some Hoosiers. So, hang in there. Thank you once again for joining. Big Mike here, Indy Sports Radio. Indy Sports Nation. See, I'm already getting amped for these games, man. Indy Sports Nation, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
All right, welcome back. Appreciate you tuning in as always, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time every Friday. Well, Notre Dame, how about it? Good resounding win against Stanford, which let's be honest, that needed to happen. This Stanford is not a strong team, and I'm trying to be nice about that. Although there was some criticism on how Notre Dame came out, and I understand it, but at the same time, I don't. And here's what I mean. I mentioned last week, Notre Dame's got one of the top rushing offenses in the country. So I have no problem trying to get Riley Leonard established throwing the ball to open up the run. Because everybody knows Notre Dame's going to run the ball. And they still obviously have been very, very successful doing so. But I don't have an issue, with them going with some plays and, hey, let's get Riley going. Let's get him comfortable and let's open up those running lanes, right? What I didn't love was some of the plays they called. And it just started kind of sloppy. And then next thing you know, they're punting. And then Stanford just drives the ball down the field and gets a touchdown. I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I'm sitting there saying, this is not a trap game. They came off a bye. It's not a trap game. It's not a trap game. Maybe every other year against Stanford it would have been. Well, fortunately, Notre Dame, they just decide, all right, let's not get cute here, and let's just do what we do. And they did. They go down, tie it up. Defense wakes up a little bit. Stanford had a couple nice plays. But then the defense tightens up, get the ball back 14-7. Okay, here we go. Stanford, nowhere. At this point, you start to feel that momentum really getting in Notre Dame's favor, right? And then guess what happens? I even made a post about it. I'm like, oh, go figure, another Notre Dame turnover. So Here we go, driving down the field, turn the ball over again. And I'm like, this is just what they do, especially at home. It's amazing how much they've been turning the ball over at home. It's just kind of wild to me. But in this particular instance, Notre Dame defense steps up. Then it goes 21-7. You kind of knew at that point this game was going to get out of hand, and it did. There was an odd weather delay. It kind of happened, which didn't matter at that point. I think it was already 42-7, and I'm reading posts, and I agreed with them. Like, they're just in the game. Like, this was just ended up being a beating. Again, a beating that, I kind of think they needed to do. I think for themselves, I think for the fan base and whatnot, because what you're hearing right now is Notre Dame schedule, and they don't really have anybody until USC, yada yada yada. So I think they needed to have a game where the eye test looked better, and they did here. So, and along with that, there was some good news that came out of Notre Dame this week, and I mentioned it last week. They had lost a recruit to go to Auburn, just King, I believe that was, dual threat quarterback, and that was probably a good move for him, as I mentioned last week, because he's probably going to be able to see the field a little quicker or whatnot. However, what did break this week is Notre Dame flipped dual threat 4-star quarterback Blake Ebert from Clemson. So this guy had initially committed to Clemson, and Notre Dame got him to flip that commitment. He'll be attending Notre Dame. That's a good get, especially from, I know Clemson isn't, although they're playing fairly well this year, but in the past few years have not been what they were. But that's still Clemson. You got a nice recruit coming out from there, so that's a good get, at least on paper. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see how that shakes out. But going forward, this is a game this weekend at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's 5-2. Yeah, I'm coming off 2 straight wins against Duke and North Carolina, which those are programs that obviously don't wow you. I think they've been having a hashtag fire Mac Brown at North Carolina. It feels like for a good 3 years. Maybe it's not been that long, but it kind of feels like it. But I digress. And Georgia Tech, I mean, they did lose to Louisville, but it wasn't necessarily they didn't get steamrolled or anything like that. However, news came out today that Haynes King, the quarterback from Georgia Tech, will not be playing. And this going into this game, that he actually kind of worked me a little bit. This dude has been very, very efficient. He's completed over 71% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception. They're running the ball, getting about 6.5 yards a carry. So this, but in all due respect, when Notre Dame is playing well and playing smart on defensively, it's probably the best defense they've seen. But now you go with a backup quarterback who's got some experience. He actually was reading. He led a big comeback against, I think, Va Tech, I want to say a season or 2 ago. So the guy's got some experience in there. So they're not a scrub, but at the same time, it is, your backup quarterback, and things I feel a little better for Notre Dame going into this now. Obviously, they got to take care of the ball, which they have been doing on the road, which is just a weird thing. It's odd that they, for whatever reason, they can't do it at home, but they're fine on the road. So, obviously, this will be Georgia Tech's bet, but they're going to be amped for it. That 2 games straight, they're going to be amped. Notre Dame coming in. Like I said, this is a game I'm a little cautious about. Last spread I saw, I believe Notre Dame's 11-point favorite. I could see a scenario where Georgia Tech covers. I don't know that they're going to win this game. I think if they do win this game, it's more of a Notre Dame lost it type of thing. So, as long as Notre Dame takes care of the ball, which they have done on the road, and minimize the penalties. Their defense has gotten better. First of the year, their defense was getting a penalty like every other play, it felt like. But I think this will be a fairly competitive game. I can see one of these games, one of these types of games, it's just, close to begin with, and then, Notre Dame maybe pulls away, late. But it should be an interesting game. I look forward to that at 3:30. So, but I gotta move on here a little bit, because in case you haven't heard, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get ignore Notre Dame here. I'm really not. But there's this other story that's going on in the state of Indiana. You may have heard of this whole IU football team. Maybe think you may have heard of that. Just kind of throwing that out there. It is a sellout. So we got IU Nebraska noon on Fox pregame live at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. John Mellencamp making an appearance. I know the Colts / Hoosiers fans are loving that. I'm going to start singing some Jack and Diane at the end of this just to annoy you. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. This is a big game. You've got the 6-0 Indiana football Hoosiers against a 5-1 Nebraska team that's got some dudes. I mean, they're young. They're freshman quarterback and what have you. And their defense is, I believe, the seventh from a points perspective, seventh best in the country. IU is number 2 points per game in the country. Just barely behind Miami, I believe it is. It's practically the same. Might as well call them tied for first. It's like a 0.2 differential or something like that. IU is a 6.5 point favorite. And again, well done, IU fans. You sold the place out. This place is going to be rocking and rolling with, again, Fox, everybody there. You're nationally televised at noon. I fully expect IU to put on a show. Not saying I'm not going to say it's going to be a steamroll, but granted, yes, it's going to be a good defense that IU has seen. Again, this is a part of their schedule, as I alluded to when last week is the week prior. This is where IU's schedule is going to get a little bit tougher. It's still, at the end of the day, it's still what I would call favorable, but still, again, these first 6 games have been, games that, again, your conference games, whatever, say what you will, and you can only play who's in front of you, but comparative to, say, you got Purdue or someone like that, this has definitely been a much easier road. So Nebraska here, I'm looking at the line now, still 6.5. And then you've got Washington coming to your house next week, who is not having their best year. Then you go to Michigan State, which that's never an easy place to play. But you take care of business here, and you could be looking at a home game on November 9th against Michigan. So if that's the case, I may have to take this show down to Bloomington and have some fun with it, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. But as I mentioned, this is going to be the best D IU has seen. And on the flip side, this is going to be the best offense Nebraska's seen. I've not, in full disclosure, I've not been able to watch a ton of Nebraska, although I did watch them against when they played Purdue. This is a game IU should win. Now, and Nebraska's not going to go away. They're going to get bowl eligible here pretty soon, and Matt Rhule's going to have that program going in the right direction here. In fact, they already are. But the next couple of years, you watch out for these guys. But they've not seen an offense quite like IU's at this point. IU's cooking on all cylinders. IU still needs to tighten a few things up defensively, especially here and in the coming weeks, because they are still giving up some yards and giving up some points. But I just don't see that the case in this game at all. But man, I want pictures. So any of y'all are there, we get to experience that atmosphere. I'm happy as all get out for you. As I said, I am so thrilled for the IU football program and all the fans. I really, really am. But as I mentioned earlier, I know I still doesn't go heavy Purdue, and I'm sure IU doesn't like that. But IU is going to get your glory because we're going to keep following this team the rest of the way, and then obviously we're going to get to a hoops preview here the next few weeks. So we'll definitely have some heavy IU, no doubt about it. But with that being said, we'll take our last break here, and then on the flip side, we will get to Purdue. It's going to be Purdue heavy the rest of the way. We're going to talk football, talk some hoops, talk a little bit of volleyball. So appreciate you hanging around. Indy Sports Nation, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Indy Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Indy Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph DeLeese, the Indy Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
All right, welcome back, Indy Sports Nation on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I warned you we're gonna go heavy Purdue here, right? Got to. It's a lot to cover here. We don't have just about 15 minutes or so to go, so kind of go through here relatively quickly. Purdue women's volleyball. I don't know if any of you got a chance to see that last Friday night. I was promoting that on the show last week. What a match. I suggest if you're any kind of sports fan, or even you're a novice in volleyball, whatever, go watch that 5-setter. Nebraska comes out, on top there. To go into Nebraska's house and take them to the limit. I don't know that the women would have done that early in the season. That just kind of shows you what these women are on a mission right now. And tough loss, but man, did they grind. It's one of those games I feel like if I was here at Purdue, that might have been the other way around. I mean, just two really, really solid women's teams is balling. Love to see it. But after that, they had a game against Iowa, and then last night against UCLA. And after a tough one, just losses like that they kind of get you physically and in some cases emotionally, right? It doesn't matter the sport. And then to bounce back and handle Iowa. Tough one last night, but was able to get another big win against UCLA. So kudos to the women. They're continuing to ball, still ranked number 10. All their losses have been the top 10 opponents. And I just feel like these women are just getting better. and the support at Purdue has been fantastic. So just keep doing that. We're going to keep good tabs on these ladies going forward. You'll see on our network, Taryn does a great job on that's a show solely volleyball. I know he even brought this up on his show. So keep at it, ladies. I'm really excited for the rest of the season for them, no doubt about it. So we'll talk a little bit of football here. I don't know if you saw the Purdue comeback last week at Illinois. Freshman Ryan Brown got his first start. And when the game started, he looked like he got his first start. I mean, and I can't put all that on him. I think some play calling was an issue too. But by second half, he got his footing, started feeling better, and he's a dual threat kind of guy. And they got some momentum going. They were down, I believe, 27-3, something like that. And next thing you know, they got that momentum rolling. And it picked up the defense a little bit. And for them to come back and take the lead at the end of the game. Which was just unbelievable. And then Illinois drives back down the field. What looked like it could have been a fumble to end the game. They called it he was down, and you saw the replay, and he was down. But it was one of those, had they called it a fumble, it would have stayed a fumble. You know what I mean? There was just no evidence to really overturn it, which allowed Illinois to get a game-tying field goal, and it goes into overtime, where Illinois receives it, first play touchdown. At this point, I feel like both defenses are just done, just absolutely done. Purdue gets the ball. A couple plays later, they're in the end zone, and they go for two, which I love that. I mean, this team right now, Purdue has nothing to lose at all. I mean, it's just been a hot garbage of a season. And for them to be even like, yeah, just go for it. Go for the win. It's going to be nuts if you beat the number 23 team on the road. And they went for it. I loved that they went for it. I didn't love the call. I did not love the call at all. And you put Ryan Brown back there by himself. Illinois comes to the full-on blitz, and he's done. The game's over. Felt like they should have had a running back there to at least maybe keep Illinois' defense a little honest. But neither here nor there. I love the effort. Ryan Brown played really, really well, especially that second half, which leads me to tonight with Oregon coming in. Here's my glimmer of hope for Purdue and why maybe they could. I mean, they're a 28-point dog. Here's why maybe they could be closer than what the experts think and what we all think. Oregon's come off that big win against Ohio State, right? What a game that was. Games like that take a toll on you physically as well as emotionally. It's just an emotional high, and you're beat up from playing Ohio State because that's what they do. And then on a short week, you got to fly across the country to play Purdue. I think Purdue's, even though they lost, are a little bit on the high because they've figured out, like, hey, we start scoring some points. We know we could have won that game. Their confidence might be up a little bit. And the last time Purdue had a number 2 team here at night, it was Ohio State, and they won. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. Don't get me wrong, but I think that you could have a little bit of a lag from Oregon here. We'll know pretty quick when the game starts. They may not, and because on paper, this game's going to be a blowout on paper. Oregon is just overly talented athletes everywhere. So, I mean, I feel like from a Purdue perspective, that's kind of the hope there. Maybe they're a little bit you catch them a little bit of a hangover. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm looking forward to going there. I may end the show a few minutes early just to go see if I can meet the duck. You never know. It'd be cool to meet the duck. But anyway, with that being said, let's jump into some hoops. I want to get a little quick preview of the Purdue hoops this year. First, I want to start with the ladies. Katie Gerald's back here for her 4th season, and what is essentially it pretty much is a rebuild. They finished 12th in the conference last year with, I believe, a total overall record of 15-19. Was not a great season by any means, but they do have 7 players returning, including Rashonda Jones, who's your Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and a top freshman recruit, Jordan Poole, out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, who I believe was listed as like a top 75 total overall recruit. This team's going to be young. They're not going to be. They are young. There's, I believe, only 3 seniors on this team. So this is built around freshmen and sophomores. So Katie's got a project on her hands. They have done some overseas playing this summer. I don't expect a ton. obviously, again, you're building around freshmen and sophomores. Again, 15-19 last year, and you got obviously the Oregon coming in and USC and from the old Pac-12 and Washington, UCLA, whatnot. I don't know they're going to win many more games. They might get a couple here or there, but this is going to be a build, and that's okay. I think I equate it to the football team, right? Except the football team has underachieved to this point. You thought that you might not see a bigger win total, but you thought you'd see an improvement on the court or on the field, and I think it's what we're looking for the women this year. Obviously to get to 500, I think would be a huge win for them. But we'll see we'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to some good improvement here, and I think maybe the following year might be the year they make that much bigger step. But so with that, we'll roll on to the men. Obviously, what a season the men had last year. Just hit Connecticut at the wrong time. Connecticut was on a buzzsaw. And I remember telling my people last year, that national championship game, I was like, the Purdue guard's going to have to ball out, which is going to be a tough task against the UConn guards, and it was. Edey was going to do his thing. And obviously he did. And they needed the guard play, and it wasn't there, but that's more of a credit to UConn in my eyes. But that's the big thing with Purdue this year, right, is, well, now what are we going to do? There's no Zach Edey. True. I mean, it's going to be it'll be different team, but I still think here's the thing. They're not going away. They're not going to go away. I'm not saying they're going to win a Big Ten championship this year. I mean, I'm not saying that at all. I do think they're up in the pack, and they will compete, and they're going to probably win some games they should. Maybe win some games they shouldn't. I don't know, but Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith. To me, this is Braden Smith's team now. So mind you, they're juniors. So Kaufman Wren's back. They're going to have Caleb First. Those two guys are going to kind of take place of Edey, if you will. But it's going to be more of a guard game. It's not going to be this. It's going to be a little different style of offense, I believe. And in case you didn't hear, just for those Purdue haters out there, Daniel Jacobson is the freshman recruit who is listed at 7'4". I don't think he's quite 7'4", but I think he might be 7'2". But so he's coming in. He'll be long-term kind of Edey's replacement, if you will. And as of now, he's already got a better shot. I want to mean shot, you know what I mean? I mean, just a little bit better touch than Edey did coming in. So I look for this team I think right now all the projections are 4 to 5 seed. Some have seen a 6. I would agree. Probably somewhere in that vicinity as well. But Coach Paint has just done ridiculous things in his tenure here, going on 20 years. Numerous Sweet 16 appearances, but everybody just remembers the couple bad losses that they've had. They don't remember some of the good things a lot of the good things he's done. I mean, they're ranked every year, and I believe the stat was for the last 15, I can't remember, it's 12, 15 years, something like that. They've been there the entire season. Them and Gonzaga are the only teams that have done that. It's just the consistency that Painter has brought to this program is nuts to me. And I'll say it right now, to me, you're not going to find many. You can argue a few, and that's fine, but many better coaches and better minds for the game than Matt Painter. He doesn't necessarily go out and invade the transfer portal. He brings in his 3.5-star guys, so to speak, and he just builds camaraderie, builds programs that, again, consistently contend every year in and year out. So, and those years where people are going, well, I don't think you're going to be as good, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, there they are, right there at the top of the Big Ten again. So, while I say I do not expect them to win another Big Ten, I mean, for first and foremost to win, to win 3 in a row is hard no matter what. I don't care what it is. But they're not going to go away. So sorry, IU fans. And we'll get to IU, like I said, later with their because they went the opposite direction and went and invaded the transfer portal. So we'll definitely get to them. But no, I still expect great things from Purdue. I think it's going to be a really fun season. They've sold out a vast majority of their games already because why not? I mean, they're just consistent year in and year out. So But on that note, everybody, I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in as always. I cannot thank you enough. Cannot thank the people at IE Sports Radio enough. We're going to head down to Ross-Ade and we're going to see if we can find the duck. Probably won't. That'd be nice, but probably won't happen. But we're going to catch some Division I football and see if Purdue can't shock the world tonight. So on that note, enjoy the sports. Enjoy your games. I hope your teams win this weekend, unless you're a Nebraska fan, a Miami Dolphins fan. I guess I'll have to say an Oregon Ducks fan now too, even though I think we know what's going to happen, or Georgia Tech fan. But otherwise, all fairly banter aside, appreciate y'all joining me as each and every Friday here, 5 to 6 p.m. Indy Sports Nation, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everybody.